Hi folks, with Tacitus today. Tacitus Day, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about a number of surveys of college kids, or primarily college girls, I guess, but or minority groups. So it didn't seem to be much of a straight white male representation in these so-called surveys. And some of these were supported by video interviews, sort of on the street type interviews of college kids, again primarily girls and minorities, talking about their views on the rigor of the education. Should the education be rigor? Now, I suppose rigorous. So I suppose there's a number of things to look at here. Well, one is the view I think that every minority had or expressed, with very rare exception, and that being that a degree means that you're the same as middle-class white men. That means you're the same. So that it's an equality thing, an equity thing, an equal outcome thing. I'm just as good as you. I'm the same as you. Says the IQ 80 black guy. I'm just the same as the IQ 150 white guy. I deserve. I'm entitled to the same. He's got a degree. I've got a degree. We're the same. Now, the holding the bit of paper is meant to be, as far as they're concerned, the indicator of equality. So the black girl is saying, well, if I've got a degree and the straight white male's got a degree, then I'm the same as the straight white male. So they see it as really an entitlement to equity, and it's an equality of outcome. And anything that may restrict that or limit it or put it into question or doubt, such as an examination or some sort of rigorous testing of, have you done the work, or is the course, worth a pinch of shit or something like that? That's something they can't abide. So should there be rigorous testing and examination of do you learnt the material? Can you really know how to be an engineer or whatever they're mostly sociology type courses for the minorities, but nonetheless. Now, I didn't see it in the survey. No one's in favour of being tested if that testing, such as an examination, if that testing in any way puts into doubt their ability to move through into prestige gaining higher education. So the prestige is very much part of the pursuit. Is their education relevant? Is that they know anything is relevant? That their abilities are tested or there's any rigor? This is all pretty much irrelevant. The prestige is the issue, and through the prestige they achieve or as they perceive it, the social equality. So now the idea of being tested is well, we don't care about being tested, the minorities say, but we care about whether or not that testing will allow us to gain the prestige that we're trying to get, this equality prestige, or this fantasy of equality is probably more to the point. So testing and pass or fail exams, no, gee, we don't want that. And we don't want that because somebody might use it to say, well, you flunked your test. You can't go on to senior high school, or you flunked your tests and you can't go on to college, for example. Now, even when they are offered, well, look, hey, you do the test, you can come back in 3 months, do another test, and it gives you plenty of time to hit the books and swat up and cram and all that sort of thing. What about that? No testing, no pass or fail. Or if there is testing, there must be no pass or fail. Or the pass or fail must be irrelevant to going on. So they see higher learning, as they term it, the higher learning, they see going on as an entitlement because it supposedly produces this path to equality as they would see it. Now, whether they are learning anything, whether they're acquiring any actual practical knowledge other than indoctrination that we're surrounded by Nazis and all that sort of stuff, then, or climate change is going to kill us, so why bother working hard at your job? So this is something that came across quite strongly, which just shows how perverted the higher education system really, from probably anything above third year high school, really has been corrupted in this way. Now, the radical Marxists, and you saw this in the Soviet Union and the communist countries generally, is they would give dispensations to children from, if both your parents were illiterate, they would give you a benefit, an advantage of going to university. So if both your parents were literate, and say maybe, I don't know, they were, engineers or so, something like that, then, and this is in the communist Soviet Union, then they would say, well, you've got an advantage, a social advantage. So we'll give a 50-point advantage to the kid who's got illiterate parents. So if that kid really only got 10% in the exam, say, we'll add another 50 points to that exam, which will give them 60, which means they get through to university. But if you come from a privileged family, we may give a 25% deduction. So even though you got 75% in the exams to graduate to university, we'll just deduct 25 points off that, which means you got 50. So the kid from the illiterate family got 60, you got 50, and he can get into a better course than you can. So they did that sort of social engineering there. And really, this is something fairly similar. Kids are being waved through who wouldn't have had a snowball's chance in an environment that was rigorous of getting through. That's something I guess is well known. I hadn't quite made the connection with the entitlement to prestige. So by merely attending university, you achieve a level of equality, even though you're not learning anything or you're not being rigorously tested or examined. I should point out that in my lifetime, and not like I'm a million years old or anything, that in my lifetime, at university, if you flunked your first year, you had to attend a sort of like a tribunal, and you had to do what's show cause, CAUSE, show cause. Why did you fail? And you had to have pretty good, like you were very ill, you got some serious disease, and you couldn't attend lectures and that sort of stuff, or like your mother died or something. You had to produce a good argument. Now, given the rigor of the day, it was, look, you've got a position here at university, unless you're going to use it and really knuckle down and bust your ass, unless you're going to use that, you might as well go. Leave. Don't take up the place here. But someone else could make use of it. You go if you're not prepared to really make the effort and commit fully to your studies and to your learning and education. If you can't make that, you've got to leave. And so just in, I don't know if it was quite half, but of the kids that started university, a good, even in the first year, a good third just couldn't hack it. The work was too hard, the expectations were too much, and you had to really be quite self-disciplined if you were going to get through it. Whereas a lot of kids that had teachers, pestering them and hounding them at, say, senior high school, once they lost all the structure and discipline of that, and you have to, really make your own effort and hit the books hard and so on. So quite a few of them actually couldn't do it. People I knew couldn't do it. People who weren't actually stupid, they were just not disciplined and easily led astray by going to parties or something like that. So that rigor that exists is all gone. Another thing that's got me is that particularly the girls doing sociology and gender studies and that sort of thing, they're very much of the view that the universities and the whole society, the whole world is awash with Nazis. Hitler is everywhere. He's in every closet, under every bed, around every corner. And misogynist, racist, Nazi, oppressor, rapists are everywhere. Nazi, Hitler personally is running around raping all the girls. Even though the university is awash with that, some universities decided, well, what we'll do is we'll create a safe place for girls, and we'll have no men or only gay men, or have very few men at the college, and they found very quickly the girls don't want to go to colleges with no men. So these girls running around screaming about Nazi rapists and Hitler's everywhere. They only want to go to college with lots of boys. So clearly, the idea of misogynist rapists being everywhere isn't sufficient to put off these girls from attending, even though they'll say that they're victims of rapists, misogynists, and so on. Now, this I found that intriguing. Surely, if the world is so full of straight white male evil fascist Nazis, wouldn't you want to go to a university that has no men or very few men? I mean, that would be, or has no white men, and so on. That surely that would be your preference if you were a female sociology student. But no, it's not, which is interesting. But they can still hold the two opposing views together. I only want to go to university, lots of men who are going to hit on me and take me out for a date. But these same universities are awash with racist, oppressor, rapist Nazis, and I'm in danger every minute of the day of being triple raped. And so, well, if you are in so much danger, go to a university with no men, for goodness sake. So university policy very quietly changed back again to attracting lots of men to the university. But looking at the overall attitude of minorities is it's being sold to minorities. You have to have a degree. It'll help your career, and a rigorous degree of representing higher learning and representing an exceptional student. Sure, of course it will. But representing a higher learning that or a degree that represents just someone who's been waved through on affirmative action, which the vast majority of degrees are today, then that's of course achieves nothing, and it devalues degrees. And I have interviewed and interview for jobs straight white males, and they're always by far and away the better candidates. College graduates, they're all by far and away the better, and you can just see the affirmative action wave throughs that occur. And I had to open up an office or a number of offices in the United States a while ago, and I found that minorities, even with two degrees, or a degree and a master's, that sort of thing, they were still obviously an affirmative action thing. They were effectively functionally illiterate and still quite moronic. You're still dealing with a low IQ person that could barely think through even a modestly complex concept. And yet here they are with a degree and a master's. You think, holy fuck, hey? And so that affirmative action isn't achieving the equal outcome that they want. It's achieving equal bits of paper, but not an equal outcome, and that really needs to be understood. But particularly, say minority women, they believe, and this is almost universal actually, they believe that rigorous testing and so on shouldn't be allowed, and because it's discriminatory, because just because I fail the test or flunk the test doesn't mean I shouldn't be entitled to a degree or so this relationship between learning and rigor and exams and quality of education is seen as something quite different from actually getting the bit of paper at the end of it. The bit of paper is the prestige, entitlement, and the affirmative action sort of process, whereas the learning is something that's kind of optional. Who cares about that? I kind of just got to come here to get that bit of paper, and that's really all it is, because that gives me equality and social prestige. The idea of having to work for that equality and social prestige, no, that's discriminatory. That's racist. That's oppressive. That's Hitler. And this is the massive disconnect, of course, in higher education all across the Western world today. You've been Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.